All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring a totally fascinating and frankly kind of mind-bending blueprint for outgrowing modern economics. We're going to unpack a vision of the future that completely reimagines how humanity interacts with the planet, all driven by advanced tech and a massive shift in how we view resources.
Picture this. You wake up tomorrow and literally all the money in the world is just gone. Every single dollar, euro, and yen, poof, vanished overnight. Sounds like a complete disaster, right? But what if it actually forced us to figure out how to run society based purely on the physical realities of the planet? Without financial ledgers, we're left with just the Earth, its actual resources, and human ingenuity. That incredible thought experiment comes from visionary Jacques Fresco, and it immediately shifts our focus away from made-up financial wealth toward actual, tangible planetary abundance. You see, Fresco realized that our ability to build, feed people, and innovate isn't actually held back by money. It's only constrained by our physical resources and our technical ability to process them.
This really highlights the stark contrast between the system we have now and what's called a resource-based economy. Right now, things like planned obsolescence, when your phone magically dies right after exactly 2 years, and mounting debt are actually features of the system. They aren't bugs. The system literally requires scarcity to assign value. But in a resource-based economy, or RBE, the Earth's resources are managed as a shared global commons. The focus completely shifts from owning things to just having access to them, using science and tech to give everyone a high standard of living. So the big takeaway here is that in an RBE, the entire concept of earning a living is basically obsolete. Cybernetic technology takes over to produce and distribute everything we need, equitably. And we're not just talking about a welfare state here. This is a total structural redesign where production is fully automated. You don't have to grind away at a repetitive job just to survive. Machines handle the boring, monotonous labor, which finally frees humanity to focus on science, art, and just personal growth.
Okay, but how do you actually manage all of this without money? Well, we would use a global resource matrix. Instead of politicians making wild guesses, we'd use existing tech. Think SpaceX satellite networks for mapping the planet, and robotics like Tesla's Optimus for physical auditing. Together, they create an autonomous, real-time planetary inventory system. It would track global demand and resources constantly, maybe using something like energy credits tied to renewable output early on, just to bridge the gap as traditional money is phased out.
So, how do we get from here to there? The transition plan outlines this really fascinating evolution. It kicks off with early AI audits in pilot cities, paired with a universal basic income that's funded by automation taxes. From there, the system shifts toward a digital platform called TerraCore for actual resource allocation. And eventually, this blueprint envisions national borders dissolving entirely into bioregional councils, all managed by an impartial planetary AI that optimizes logistics for everyone.
Now, what's truly mind-blowing is how modern, real-world projects are already building the exact infrastructure for this cybernetic governance. Our sources specifically point to China's recent advancements in quantum satellite communication and comprehensive brain mapping. These aren't just cool tech demos. They provide the foundational architecture to eventually read, process, and manage Earth's informational field in real time. It's literally like building a digital nervous system for the planet.
But honestly, can a global AI really be accurate enough to run everything? Well, traditionally, the theoretical limit for error compensation in quantum systems is capped at about 1%. But the analysis shows that if we incorporate bionic neural networks, which are basically AI systems modeled much closer to human biology, we could actually improve that practical error threshold down to 0.7%. While a totally flawless system might still be a bit sci-fi, hitting that 0.7% mark makes a hybrid classical quantum planetary management system highly plausible for balancing our economic and biospheric needs.
All right, moving on to Section 1, Designing the Physical Habitat and the Architecture of the Circular Cities.
Because an RBE isn't just about digital management, we fundamentally have to redesign where and how we live. Instead of trying to awkwardly retrofit old sprawling cities, this blueprint calls for geometrically elegant circular arrangements. They minimize energy waste and bring all the different community sectors way closer to a central hub. And the efficiency is crazy. You basically just design one wedge, or radial sector, and replicate it 8 times to form the whole city. That saves an unbelievable amount of material and construction energy.
The layout is just incredibly intentional. Right in the middle sits a massive dome housing the cybernetic brain of the city, which projects real-time virtual models of global resources and weather.
As you move outward into the radial belts, you hit research facilities, massive indoor hydroponic farms, and really unique, self-contained residential homes. And the whole thing is connected by seamless, automated transport. No cars, zero traffic jams, just free movement through tons of lush landscaping.
To power a global civilization like this, we have to think way, way bigger than standard solar panels. We're talking massive geothermal, tidal, and hydroelectric power. For instance, the blueprint points to China's real-world Tsungbo Bend hydroelectric project in Tibet. By harnessing water dropping over 7,000 feet, this single project alone is estimated to produce a staggering 40 million horsepower. To put that into perspective, that is roughly equal to the entire world's production of hydroelectric power today from just one single site.
We definitely wouldn't stop at land either. We'd harness the oceans using massive structures like Gulf Stream turbines. These mega machines would sit right beneath the water's surface, converting the massive, constant power of ocean currents into clean electricity. And importantly, they're engineered with highly sophisticated deflectors and centrifuged separators to completely prevent any harm to marine life. In this vision, technology always takes a back seat to environmental and human safety.
Since land is getting increasingly scarce, this aquatic infrastructure would eventually extend out to spectacular, fully self-sufficient cities right in the sea. These prodigious oceanic communities would act as massive hubs for mariculture, desalination, and deep ocean mineral extraction. They're envisioned as fully automated platforms that can monitor marine ecology, harvest tidal energy, and even act as floating universities for global resource management.
Which brings us to Section 2, the reality check, critiques, and the transition.
Okay, look, any blueprint for a totally new civilization is going to face intense scrutiny, especially regarding human nature and authority. And the sources highlight some deeply polarized debates across anarchist and communist forums. From a communist perspective, folks praise the total eradication of tedious labor, seeing this as a perfect setup for democratic workers' councils to easily oversee AI planning. On the flip side, the anarchist critique strongly warns that just handing management over to an AI technocracy without fixing underlying power dynamics is extremely dangerous. They argue that scientific knowledge doesn't automatically justify authority, and they worry this model could accidentally create an authoritarian meritocracy where algorithms and engineers just rule everything without any democratic consent.
So, as we rapidly develop the exact tools, quantum AI, satellite networks, automation that make this vision physically possible, we've got a profound choice ahead of us. The tech to eliminate scarcity is practically at our fingertips, but the social blueprint, that is still hotly debated. So I'll leave you with this to ponder. Is a thoroughly engineered, resource-based world humanity's ultimate liberation from poverty and endless labor? Or is it just a beautifully designed technocratic trap? Thank you so much for exploring this explainer with me. Keep asking questions, and we'll catch you in the next one.